Hey, I'm Grant with Grant's Game Rex. Welcome to my monthly video on the best board game expansions coming to retail. You know, expansions come out all the time to reinvigorate interest in a, game that came out a while ago. Sometimes they're even releasing expansions to brand new games these days just to have more content, make it more digestible, release content in different boxes and stuff. So if you want more for your games, expansions is how you're going to find that. As I mentioned in my last retail video, August is a big month for retail releases with Gen Con at the start of the month, so we got a lot of stuff to get into. As always, I hope you find something that you're excited about. This month, Asmodee and Simon are releasing multiple expansions for Marvel United. If you don't know Marvel United, it came out in 2020, and it is a, Marvel-themed game where you are playing as different superheroes trying to defeat different villains. There were multiple, I think in the base game, there were 3 different villains, and there were multiple heroes you could play as, and each of the heroes has their own, deck that has special abilities, superpowers, that sort of stuff. So one of the funs of Marvel United, it's a cooperative game where you're getting to know the different characters and working together, combining your superpowers to defeat different bad guys. So if you like cooperative games, and it was like a decently light game, it was a pretty welcoming game, a game that, could help people get into the hobby, and kind of had cute artwork. It made the Marvel superheroes kind of like fun and cute, and again, that sort of made it, I guess, a little more accessible. It wasn't like dark and brooding, and so yeah, they have 3 expansions coming out this month for Marvel United. Maximum Carnage is I should mention player count and stuff too. Maximum Carnage plays 1 to 5 players. One of the interesting things is I mentioned Marvel United is a lighter weight game. The current weight listed on BGG for Marvel United Maximum Carnage is a medium weight game, so I don't know if it actually makes it a little more challenging, but this expansion brings a whole new set of sinister villains for the heroes to face, one of which is Carnage. And, Dark Carnage prowls around the game board, infecting people and raising the stakes of the game. So you got to take out Dark Carnage, or you may find yourself facing him later in the game as a full-fledged villain. So as I mentioned, the first, the base game only had a few villains. This one adds more villains into the game to play against. So that's a fun new challenge. Asmodee and Simon are also releasing Marvel United World War Hulk. This plays 1 to 5 players. You might know the storyline from the movies where Hulk gets banished from Earth and then becomes a gladiator. So this expansion is Hulk is consumed by anger, and he's now Gladiator Hulk, and he comes back to Earth to exact revenge, to seek vengeance. And so he turns Earth into a big gladiator combat zone, and so you are trying to stop Angry Hulk, which it doesn't seem easy, but, Iron Man will don his massive Hulkbuster armor to try to stop Bruce Banner. He defeats other stuff. So, yeah, if you want a big gladiator arena for Marvel United, then Marvel United World War Hulk might be for you. Gladiatorial combat. And then lastly, Asmodee and Simon are releasing Marvel United Civil War. The other ones play 1 to 5 players. This actually plays 2 to 6 players. And it adds a entirely new way to play the game Marvel United. As we've just been talking, Marvel United is a cooperative game where everybody's working together to defeat a villain. But in this version, the Civil War mode makes it a true player versus player game in which 2 teams of heroes clash against each other with no villain in sight. So you might have seen Captain America Civil War, the movie, and this sort of, mirrors the storyline of that movie where, some the Superhuman Registration Act is ratified, and some superheroes think it's a good idea, and some think it's a bad idea, and they fight to decide who's right. So you gotta fight for your right to sign up for the Superhuman Registration Act. So if you're looking for, and all of these expansions maintain that idea of sort of the asymmetric hero decks that have different, superpowers and stuff like that. So if you're a fan of Marvel United, you got a bunch more stuff to check out. Asmodee and CMON are also releasing multiple expansions to their game Trudvang Legends. Trudvang Legends is a cooperative storytelling game. There are mechanisms in the game as well, but the thing you're going to remember is the storytelling aspect of the game. And one of the interesting things, the board had these sleeves on it, and so you'd be putting these cards in the sleeves, and so as you were going on your adventures, on your quests and stuff like that, you'd be encountering different things, that would, change the story. It's almost like a little choose-your-own-adventure sort of stuff. And there would be a board where you would sort of pop out windows of it and then see story elements along with that. But, so again, cooperative adventure game, but really with the story at its core of the game. And so there are 3 expansions for this. Trudvang Legends Darkwoods is an expansion that features a brand new campaign that brings players a branching story inside the larger and eerie Darkwoods forest. A majestic, albeit sinister woods where darkness broods. Ooh. Brooding forest. A lot of emo kids in that forest just brooding. Can you have a conversation with them? Probably not. They give one-word answers. That's not what happens in the game. That's me being dumb and making stuff up. But, you get what it is. This expansion also features a brand new playable class, the Demon Hunter, who masters the dark forces and twists the limits between good and bad. So, the base game was a, campaign with different scenarios and stuff like that. This adds an all-new campaign to the game. So if you've played through all the story, you have more story to check out now. They're also releasing, Asmodee and CMON are also releasing Trudvang Legends Wildland. This is a brand new campaign with 10 plus stories that covers the development of the political tensions and the infestation of enemies and creatures. So again, more story for the game. Plays 1 to 4 players in 45 to 90 minutes. And then lastly, they're releasing, Asmodee and CMON are releasing Trudvang Legends Westmark. Again, another expansion to Trudvang Legends. And this also has more story in it, a whole new campaign with branching stories and multiple endings. It also opens up an entire new region in the world covering the mighty and proud Westmark lands. So it comes with a new 2-fold game board with sleeves that integrate seamlessly into the core box's map board. So more story, but also more board to explore here in the Trudvang Legends Westmark expansion. Asmodee, in association with Fantasy Flight, is releasing Star Wars the deck building game Clone Wars. This is essentially a standalone expansion, and what I mean by that is this game can be played entirely by itself. You can buy this game and play it, no problem. You can also combine it with Star Wars the deck building game that came out last year. So it is more content for a game that already released, but you don't have to have that game if you don't want to. Star Wars the deck building game was my number 1 2-player game of the year last year and is probably in my top 10 2-player games of all time now. It is a, classic feeling deck building game where you are purchasing cards from a market, adding them to your deck, making your deck stronger, and fighting the other person. The original game and this game, the Clone Wars edition, are both 2-player only games, playing about 30 minutes, and they're kind of lighter medium weight games. But the original game, what I thought was really interesting, and this game maintains the same mechanisms, is in the market, there are cards for either your opponent or for yourself, and there's also neutral cards. It just adds an interesting dynamic to the sort of, the classic deck building feel. The cards that are in the market that are neutral, either of us can buy and add to our deck. The cards that are there for either of the teams, well, either you can buy it for yourself or you can spend a cost to destroy it out of the market before your opponent can get it. And so, I don't know, it's just a really interesting dynamic where do I want to use resources to make myself stronger or use resources to prevent you from getting stronger? In the original one, you were playing as either the Empire or the Rebellion. Well, in this one, the two sort of separate factions are the Republic or the Separatists. So you probably already know Clone Wars storyline from various I almost said Marvel. How dare you? Various Star Wars stuff. And so, this, has a lot of the characters from the Clone Wars stuff. A lot of the, that's one of the things that there's sort of some, almost kind of like generic things in the game, but then also very specific characters that you know from the stuff. And you're trying to be the first player to destroy your opponent's, destroy 3 of your opponent's bases. So if you can do that, it's great. It's a great 2-player game for sure. Board and Dice is releasing, oh man, I gotta try to say this now. Board and Dice is releasing an expansion for Barcelona called Passeig de Gracia. Nailed it. Probably not. Passeig de Gracia. If you don't know, the game Barcelona came out last year from Board and Dice. It was a worker placement game where you were building up the city of Barcelona. You were doing things, you were building streets, creating tram lines, building public services, doing a bunch of stuff. It was kind of a higher, like a medium plus Euro-y worker placement game, but still kind of looked bright and, had the Barcelona theme to it. Solid game for sure. Well, this expansion, Passeig de Gracia, plays 1 to 4 players, 60 to 90 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. It brings a new element, which are pedestrians who walk along the Passeig de Gracia, enjoying various amenities there. The more pleasant the walk, the bigger the rewards you gain once they reach their destination. So just adds a new element of pedestrians walking along this street, and you can gain various bonuses and rewards as they walk along the street. You gotta make their walk pleasurable. So yeah, if you're a fan of Euro games, Barcelona is a good one. Elf Creek Games is releasing an expansion to Honey Buzz called Fall Flavors. This plays 1 to 4 players, 45 to 90 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. Honey Buzz came out probably 3 or 4 years ago, and it was a worker placement game where you were placing these bee workers down, these bees, and getting tiles, and then creating rings with the tiles that you're kind of putting down these honeycomb tiles, but if you can create a ring, then you got the bonus of all of the different stuff around the open space in the middle. And so it was about sort of being efficient with getting your bonuses, putting your tiles down, and then you could sell things at market, but as things got sold, they became less valuable. It had some economic sort of flavor to the game. Oh, I said flavor in this Fall Flavors expansion. So this expansion, maintains the same theme where it's like bees creating an economy and selling their stuff to bears and other creatures. This introduces 5 new modules for Honey Buzz. You can mix and match these modules to the game in any combination. So you could play with one of them if you just want a little bit different. You could play with 5 of them if you want a ton of different stuff. The Fall Fruit module Forage in a new field of flowers and collect fruit instead of pollen. There is the Autumn Leaves module. Collect colorful leaves found on the new leafy hive tiles as a means of decorating your hive for your queen. Oh, that's cute. There's the Nectar Caps module. Put caps on your nectar cells to prepare for winter. It's a good way to get points. There's the Harvest Festival module. Trim your labor force by retiring your workers and sending them off to the harvest field. Oh, that's nice. Bees never get to retire. They sting and then they die. So, you get to retire them here. And then lastly, there's the Sweetwater Sunset. When playing with fall flavors, use the new Sunset board to track progress towards the end of the game. When the sun sets on Sweetwater Grove, winter has arrived and the game will end. So if you want a bunch, I like the idea of modules because you can sort of make it more complex or less complex based on yourself and the group you're playing with. So I think it's a good way to release content for sure. Flat River Group, in association with Greater Than Games, is releasing Compile Aux 1. So Compile is a game I just talked about in my Best Games Coming to Retail in August video only a few days ago. 2-player only game. You are fighting for control of 3 different things and you're sort of drafting faction decks, and those faction decks will be good at different stuff, but you're playing cards down on 3 different sort of locations, and those cards will get you special abilities, they'll have strength values, all that sort of stuff. So this is kind of a little mini expansion for Compile. This adds, the cards that you're fighting over, the sort of locations, are called protocols, because the theme of the game is you are competing AIs trying to test these different protocols. And so this game adds 3 new protocols to the game: love, hate, and apathy. So if you want a few more of those locations to explore, this is a little mini expansion that will do that. Again, plays 2 players only in 20 to 30 minutes for the game Compile. Flat River Group, in association with Brexworks Games, is releasing a couple expansions to their game Holotype. Holotype is a game, a lighter weight worker placement game about dinosaurs, but about scientific stuff with dinosaurs. You are paleontologists trying to get published, trying to discover new fossils, trying to do all this different stuff when it comes to dinosaurs. It's not like Jurassic Park. These aren't going to be killing you, but you get to learn about dinosaurs, and it's a, kind of an intro to worker placement type of game. Plays 2 to 5 players in 40 to 100 minutes, and it, kind of a lighter medium weight game. Well, one of the expansions is Mesozoic Europe. This adds a whole new continent of dinosaurs to the game, so you get to discover a bunch of different dinosaurs and, learn about them. It also adds focus boards that give each player unique starting bonuses, as well as small goals that can be completed during the game for instant rewards and victory points. It adds bone beds to the game. Bone beds are a new type of card that can be gained via field expedition cards. They allow players to return to a location they discovered to extract a guaranteed type and amount of fossils on a later turn. So yeah, it's the base game was North America, so this is just adding a bunch of Europe stuff to the game. And then the other expansion that Brexworks and Flat River Group are releasing is Holotype Crurotarsi mini expansion. Crurotarsi. This adds crocs to the game. Not modern crocs. These are prehistoric crocs. So there are 8 unique Crurotarsi specimen cards in the game. There's 6 new field expedition cards, 12 new bone bed cards. Just adds a bunch more cards. That's why it's called a mini expansion, because it's just a card-based expansion, but it adds more cards to the game of Holotype. Flat River Group, in association with Devious Weasel, are releasing a couple of card mini expansions for the game Cosmic Frog. If you don't know Cosmic Frog, it is a wacky themed game where you are playing as 2 mile high frogs in space that are devouring different shards of planets and stuff like that, and you are putting these tiles, you're doing that by getting these tiles, but you're keeping them in your gullet, and you can fight other frogs to steal tiles out of their gullet, and then you're trying to digest parts of these planets, and that's going to get you points and stuff like that. So it was like worker placement, tile stuff in Cosmic Frog. There are 2 of these mini expansions. Devious Pack adds 12 expansion cards for use with Cosmic Frog, including ability cards, action cards, and 1 new Splinter Strike card. And they're also doing Cosmic Frog Gluttony Pack. This adds 18 cards for use in Cosmic Frog. 6 new ability cards, 5 new action deck cards, and some other stuff. So if you want more cards for Cosmic Frog plays 2 to 6 players in 45 to 90 minutes, and it's a medium weight game, and this is just more stuff for that. Pinebox Entertainment is releasing 7th Sea Tooth and Claw. 7th Sea is a game, a pirate-themed game, played 2 to 4 players in 20 to 80 minutes, and it was a medium plus game or a heavyweight game. But it was a sort of an expandable card game where you were fighting over control of these different locations. You had different cards that got you power, like people that got you power and special abilities, and you're fighting over these locations. You can also try to fight the other player and eliminate their sort of leader. That was a way to win the game. This expansion is mostly a card-based expansion here. 112 cards added to the game 7th Sea City of 5 Sails, introducing new characters, new schemes, other cards themed around conquest, crime, and combat. So this is, I believe, the first expansion for 7th Seas. They're calling it their second competitive season, and so a bunch more content for this expandable card game based on pirates. Renegade Game Studios is releasing Power Rangers deck building game. It's Morphin Time expansion. So Renegade Game Studios does a number of these IP-based deck building games. They are classic deck building games where you are buying cards, making your deck stronger, fighting bad guys, all that sort of stuff. Plays 2 to 4 players, 30 to 70 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. In this expansion, there's a character called Cyclopsis. He returns to battle to fight the Power Rangers. So if you want to fight Cyclopsis, you're going to need to work together to defeat him. The Power Rangers are enabled to meet force with force, bringing in more Zords to combat their foes. If you're a fan of Power Rangers, this is a game you should definitely be checking out. Rio Grande Games is releasing Dominion Rising Sun. Speaking of deck building games, Dominion is sort of the classic deck building game. The game that started the modern deck building trend, if you will. The grandfather of deck building games. And this is the 16th expansion to Dominion. So if you didn't already have enough Dominion stuff, well, now you can get more. This expansion has 300 cards with 25 new Kingdom card piles. Dominion plays 2 to 4 players in 30 minutes. And this expansion, this Dominion Rising Sun, is a Japan-inspired expansion. So you'll find a bunch of, samurai stuff and ninjas and things like that in the expansion. So if you like deck building games, there is a lot of content for Dominion out there. And lastly, Smirk and Dagger is releasing the Night Cage Shrieking Hollow. One note about this is the Night Cage is still fulfilling to backers. And so this was not supposed to be in retail in September, but Barnes & Noble messed up and put it out already. So they were not supposed to do that until backers got their copies, but If you do want it, it is available in Barnes & Noble right now. That also comes with an apology from Smirk and Dagger because they weren't trying to do that. Barnes & Noble went rogue and put it out. So if you want it, you can get it in Barnes & Noble right now. If you backed it, it will be coming soon, and then it will be available in wider retail release in September. So plays 1 to 5 players, 40 to 60 minutes. The Night Cage is one of my favorite sort of creepy games. It's a game I want to play every year during Halloween. It's a cooperative game where you are placing tiles down. It's like a tile exploration game, but you're each holding a candle, and the candle can only illuminate the tiles directly orthogonally around where you are. And so if there are 3 tiles and you're on the middle tile and you move over to this one, this third tile falls away into darkness. It disappears. It's very, it's very creepy. It's very, it's a great cooperative game. And it's very puzzly. It really takes sort of figuring out how we want to put tiles out there and how we want to explore. This Shrieking Hollow expansion adds a new threat and a new space to explore. So in the base game, there would be these pits that would form. If you walked off a crumbling tile, they would churn into pits. Well, now you can jump into a pit and go into this area called the Hollow. And in the Hollow, there is the Other, which is a really big and sinister looking monster that you have to face. And so the Hollow is sort of, the Other is creeping up the Hollow and eventually will make its way onto the main board, and you don't want that to happen. So if somebody jumps into the Hollow, their flame, their candle will keep the Other at bay, at least for a little while. And so a new board to explore, a new bad guy to face. So if you want a spooky themed game, the Night Cage is one of the best ones out there. So that's what I've got for you this month. Those were a bunch of different expansions hitting retail here in August. Again, I hope you found some that you liked. I will be at various events coming up. Check me out at the World Series of Board Games doing my comedy show. I'll be at a convention in Eugene, Oregon in October. So if you're in Oregon, come check me out there as well. So you're always welcome to support this series on Patreon, patreon.com/GrantsGameRex. Thanks so much for liking, subscribing, sharing, all that great stuff. These videos take a lot of work, and I appreciate that people find value and share them and stuff. So thanks so much. I'm Grant with Grant's Game Rex.